Hey guys, Adam, Nika, back with another episode of Encite Live. We constantly move around locations. So now we're in our office in the tech center down in Denver, Colorado.
Backgrounds.
So it's kind of like a little variety.
Yep.
Yeah, going well. So today we're going to talk about a couple of different subjects that had come up in the news. And the one being is British Airways. They have a new advertising campaign going on. But there was an article that came out that kind of criticized the advertising campaign. And I kind of wanted to talk about it because it was interesting. So their new advertising campaign is using a combination of print, digital, outdoor, and it kind of harkens back to Hawkins is Stranger Things.
Yes.
Sorry, harkens back. Anyway, it goes back to an older campaign, right? And it's very minimalist. It's kind of very, I think it's eye-catching, very creative. But their agency has been praised that the creativeness of this campaign is really good. But it shows, and we'll pop up. We should be able to pop up a screen grab of it. But it shows everything that whenever we buy an airline ticket. They ask you one question. One of the questions is this for business or pleasure? Yep. And you always have to choose one. So in the ad campaign, they have a third option, right? And they have things like go and get a tomato that actually tastes like a tomato, or because having shoes or sand in my shoes is worse than not having whatever. We'll show it to you, but it's kind of cool. So they've been getting a lot of good press. From the creativeness of it. But the article that was talking about this was talking about how that creativity doesn't necessarily lend to ROI, doesn't necessarily lend to selling tickets, selling seats, because they use the phrase, the awfulness of flying. So the thought and the romanticism of travel, that's great. That's what they're playing on here. But that all those other factors that come into a travel of TSA and bags and sitting in airports kind of is not going to really do that. No. Not going to help them sell more tickets. So
I think they're really trying to sell what is going to be the result of flying, as opposed to their product itself. They want people to think more about what happens after they fly, as opposed to trying to sell them on the experience of flying, which is what their actual product is. Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting thing that they're doing. How much it's going to lend to actual sales, you don't know. I mean, airlines are going to sell tickets regardless, right? Right. I mean, flights are going to sell out regardless of if they have a pure nightmare or whatever happens, as seen with United back in the day. So, flights are going to sell regardless. But how do you sort of differentiate yourself to make sure people are buying your flights is going to be kind of the token in the industry, and, to just sell them on the result of traveling, which is being at that location for whatever reason it may be, is going to be just selling flights to everybody. It doesn't necessarily have to be for British Airways specifically. So it's like, if I was a different airline industry, or an airline company in the industry, and I saw that campaign, I'd be like, thank you, British Airways, for helping us sell flights. So
that's a good point. It's a really good point. Is it more of a kind of a brand awareness to the romanticism of travel? And that's kind of what they're talking about. What you're saying is what's the end result, not the actual flight. So, but it does brings up a good point, is that from a marketing perspective, we're looking at emotional triggers and not logical triggers, right? Yes. So what is the emotion and how you feel? But they take it another step. They're not even doing the emotional trigger of their flight. They're doing the emotional trigger of just travel in general, right? So it's good that they're hitting on emotion, because emotion has more impact rather than just a logical decision. But it's cool how they're just kind of like overstepping the flight, the experience of flight and travel is hard. They're just pushing that the experience of or the thought and the emotion of, I'm going to be on a beach in a week, right?
Exactly. And I mean, it's a great thing for traveling in general, and a great thing for that advertising agency that did that to be able to be nominated for all these awards that they're pretty sure they're going to win and everything. Super great for them, but how much is it actually helping British Airways specifically?
Yeah, exactly.
Why did they put that money behind it?
Right.
Is going to be a really interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see kind of what the numbers come out to, but I don't know we would ever get to see those. But with our clients, it is very important, right, for making sure that we do see that ROI. And we are seeing moving that needle and some of that brand awareness stuff. While it's all well and good, and it's good for business ultimately, but it's not necessarily measurable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for bigger companies too, it is important to really focus on PR and having that top of mind awareness for most consumers in the industry. But at the same time, it's like, is this giving top of mind awareness to British Airways? I don't know about that one.
Yeah, so it's a hard thing to quantify, as that brand awareness, but it is super important. But you mentioned something really briefly there, and that had mentioned in the article is this particular campaign supposed to sell tickets, or is it more of a PR, public relations, awareness? That's the whole goal. We don't necessarily know, but that's a good point that they're getting all this press on it. They're getting all these accolades, they're getting things. So they are getting additional brand awareness on top of all of that, the marketing spend, the marketing campaign. I like it. It's just, it's hard to quantify.
It's cool for sure. I don't know if maybe they were the best brand to do this type of campaign. It might kind of serve better for Expedia or hotels.com, something like that. Selling that traveling destination and experience and everything, as opposed to the flight itself. So. Yeah,
well, especially if they're an airline. Like I can understand. We've worked in the past. One of our clients that we worked in the past was called the. This was pre-you, but it was like the National Potato Board. So it was promoting potatoes, right? So and it was promoting American potatoes, right? So. It benefited everybody, but everybody put into that organization to promote potatoes. They weren't saying, hey, buy Jerry's potatoes or Kevin's or Jennifer's, right? Yeah, exactly. But British Airways is spending their own money to push
everybody else's
travel, right?
Yeah, everybody else's products as well. It's not specific to them. Yeah. And I think it even mentioned that on a lot of their billboards and stuff, the British Airways logo wasn't super visible either. It was sort of like tucked away in the corner, which I'm sure that you guys saw on the visual display. Yeah. But it's definitely an interesting decision to do it that way, as opposed to making it bigger so people know that this is a British Airways thing and it's not just a go travel, like the government isn't paying for tourism or something. Right.
Yeah, it's always a struggle, I think. And then, because we're not in those creative meetings, we just see the end result, right? Yeah. Like we would say as creative and marketing people, we look at that and say, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this? I would guess that topic had come up in those meetings and it had been addressed, right? But it's easy for us to criticize, to say, because I saw that, I read that in the article that, the logo is not as big. Yeah. And it's like, well, they're probably, I guarantee that there's a strategy behind that, but it's like, I would think that like you want it more prominent, but you never know. Yep. So, but interesting, see what happens. We don't know, but maybe we can do a follow-up. We always talk about doing a follow-up to see if we can find some of those numbers, but we'll keep you guys updated for it and see if we can find any more information. But it'd be interesting to see what happens.
And congrats to that advertising agency.
Yeah, I think it's I forget what the name. Uncommon. Yes. Congrats to you guys, and I think it looks great and it's pretty interesting. So, but that's it for this edition of Encite Live. Nika, Adam, different studio. Probably who knows what will be next time. So. But we'll see you next time.